Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. This is our TNA show for the week. My name is George Coles and it looks like I'm riding solo on this one. And we'll go right into it. Our first thing of the night, we see Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, and Bobby Roode come out. The Ego group, which I really love that name, and basically they're trying to recruit Austin Aries. Brings out Storm and Gunner, which leads to a little bit of a brawl, which leads right into a match. Bobby Roode and Frankie Kazarian versus James Storm and Gunner. I liked how they worked this. I liked that they wrestled in street clothes, like it wasn't set up to be a wrestling match. Kind of a little subtlety. Worked out decent. Kind of reminded me of the days of ECW. They used to do things like that all the time. Roode and Kaz pick up the win. Okay match, nothing great. I liked how they worked it. I liked the psychology. Could have been a better match, though. 4 really good wrestlers in it. And then coming off of that, we have Sanjay Dutt versus Manic for the X Division title. Now, if you guys haven't seen, they've changed the rules in the X Division again. No longer does it have to be a 3-way match. It could be a 1-on-1 match. It could be a 4-way match. It could be whatever. I like this idea. The 3-way was a little bit too convoluted and gimmicked for my opinion. Just make it a normal championship. The thing about the X Division that we liked is it was just a normal championship with really athletic wrestlers in it. Now if they can only drop the weight limit again, we could see guys like Samoa Joe going in. But anyway, we have Sanjay Dutt versus Manic. Before I get too far into this, I really hate the fact that they call Sanjay Dutt the best X Division wrestler not to win the championship. That's such a dig on him. He's such a good talent, and I don't know why he hasn't won it. For whatever reason, his timing's been wrong, but I just dislike that very much. Manic picks up a win in this match. It's very, I would say, lackluster, to be honest with you. I expected more from the both of them. Sanjay Dutt is a fantastic wrestler, and Manic is very good too. I don't know. So far, I mean, we're not really getting off on a good start on this one. Next, we have our 4-way street fight rules match. We have Hernandez versus Jay Bradley versus Christopher Daniels versus Joseph Park. Ego comes down to help out Daniels. Austin Aries comes in, looks like he's going to help him, hits him with the brain buster. Joe Park picks up the win, gets him out of negative in the Bound for Glory series. It was okay. I like that they're doing the lone wolf character with Austin Aries. Almost turned him face by doing this, but not so much because he turned down Main Event Mafia last week. I like that he's a man that stands alone. I like the interview he did when he said that, you know, why would I join these guys? I've beaten you, Bobby Roode. And neither of these other two has been a world champion. Solid thinking on his part, I would say. Like, decent, I mean, another lackluster match. And that seems to be the theme going forward. There were some good parts, but the matches together were not that great. And the next thing we had Bully Ray, who was teasing that he was going to bring Brooke out. And Bully Ray comes out with Tito Ortiz. Tito cuts a terrible promo. They bring out the hot Brooke Tessmacher, who's now Bully Ray's girlfriend. She sucks the ring for Brooke Hogan off of Bully's finger. I don't write these things, folks. I just comment on them. Pretty bad segment with. I mean, without the fact that Tessmacher looked as stripper hot as she ever has, and Bully Ray, this would have been a train wreck. And, you know, it's going off the rails already on the show. But while it's off the rails for a bit, let's go into it. And speaking of Tito, the question of the week from last week, of the MMA guys that have come in, who do you think is going to make the biggest impact? We got some answers from our friends. The first is from our friend Handsome Pat Fannin. I don't think that any of the Bellator guys will make a lasting mark in TNA history. But this Rampage Tito will at least take up a lot of our time building up to the Bellator pay-per-view. And then next we have a comment from our friend Josh Adams. I don't see them lasting long, but it's a way to promote TNA and Spike's partner Bellator. It's a simple way to plug. If the huge change is coming, maybe Bellator will be done. I just hate that they are in the main event. I see Hogan going back to WWE because they are doing promoting of him a lot lately. And then he goes on to put who is coming in to replace him as bookers. This is a real question. My answer is Cornette. Why Russo is gone and this core group will always work. I'd keep him behind the scenes. Tackle that question in a second, Josh, but let me go into our question first, and then I'll give you an opinion on yours. I actually think out of the three guys, King Mo, Tito Ortiz, and Rampage Jackson, I think Rampage Jackson could make the biggest impact if he really wants to become a pro wrestler. Tito, I really think is just in it for the money. King Mo as well. Rampage as well to a certain extent, but I do think that Rampage, I've seen in interviews before where he's talked about his love of pro wrestling. I can see him seeing this as a post-MMA career and actually putting a decent amount of work into it. Now, can he be Ken Shamrock? Maybe. Can he be more like a Dan Severn? That's probably more probable than what you would think. I mean, Dan Severn was pretty decently successful. Shamrock was a little bit disappointing in my opinion. He had all the tools to be something great, but he wasn't. Now back to what you were saying, Josh. To answer your question, I've heard rumors that they're being retooled from the back end on TNA, that the people behind the scenes are going to be gone. I've heard rumors that Devon Dudley is going to take a bigger role. Now, as far as who's coming in, I don't see Cornette because he burned too many bridges there. He badmouthed him going out. That's Cornette's MO. He burns bridges wherever he leaves. Unfortunately, he does have a great wrestling mind. He almost needs to team with somebody else, though, because his ideas are a little bit archaic at this point, a little bit too 80s. Does have a great wrestling mind. I won't knock the guy for that. I think he could be a capable booker if he had a partner. Who I would love to see is Gabe Soplowski, and I'm probably butchering his name, who's booking for Dragon Gate USA and Evolve right now, formerly the booker and most famously the booker for Ring of Honor during their hottest period from the beginning all the way up to 2009, 2010, I believe. Gabe, I think, would do a 180 with the product and he'd make it better. Gabe's a disciple of Paul Heyman. He learned a lot from Paul Heyman working in the original ECW, and he's taken a lot from the Japanese style and brought it in and made a different product than what you see. The ROH style, the Ring of Honor style that everybody talks about, that's all Gabe's influence. He's the guy that made that. If you watch Evolve or Dragon Gate USA, they're even more pure wrestling than Ring of Honor is at this point. And I think he'd be a great fit in there, in my opinion. I like the guy as a person too. I think he's a good person. I'd love to see him get a chance at one of the big companies. But coming off of that, let's go into our question of the week for this week. We have three big, sorry about this, guys. We have three big factions in TNA right now. We have Ego, which is Kaz, Daniels, and Rude. Main Event Mafia, and the Aces and Eights. Out of the three, which one's your favorite? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Put it down where? Down there in the comments. Right down there below somewhere. There's a little bar. Type it in. As you can see, we answer all comments. If you have a question or just a comment, put it down there. We'll talk about it. Anyway, back into our wrestling show. We had a great, probably the best match of the night in my opinion. Gail Kim versus ODB. I really looked forward to this. I like both of these women. I think they're both really talented wrestlers. I don't think they quite clicked in this match. It was a little bit on the low end in my opinion. I think they could do a lot better. I hope maybe they're building to a better, longer match at a pay-per-view at some point, or another theme show. And, I mean, it's just going on with the theme of the night, that everything's a little bit lackluster. And that includes Gail Kim obviously gets the win. Then we go into the main event, which is the 5-on-5, Aces and Eights versus the Main Event Mafia. Main Event Mafia is one man short. Out comes AJ Styles, who's dropped his Sting circa 1997 gimmick and has gone back to the phenomenal one. AJ Styles, even halfway down, they started playing his original music. He showed more energy, more, I guess you could say, happiness during the match, not so much brooding and emo-ish. Aces and Eights picks up the win with AJ Styles hitting the Styles Clash on Devon. Back to what I was talking about earlier, it's been rumored that Devon's going to work as an agent. Who knows? I see big changes coming in TNA, so who knows if that'll stick or if Devon's just gone. I've also read other rumors that last year when his contract was up, he just signed a one-year deal, and the 1 year's up now. But I see. I understand why it was Devon. I think they could have done somebody else. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this could have been the way to get a Rampage out of wrestling. I don't know. I'm just saying. And again, not a great match at all by any means. Overall, as you could tell in my review, overall the show was very blah, just there. If I wasn't such a big wrestling fan and I didn't do these reviews for you guys, and I'd watch it without doing the reviews, so don't feel like you guys are making me watch this crap. I probably wouldn't have watched this one all the way through. I probably would have stopped about halfway through and let it record and watched most of it on the fast forward, but be honest with you, this was a very substandard TNA, and even one of our mainstays, our Hulk Hogan count, Thunderlips count for the week, is at 0 for the 4th week in a row. No Hulk Hogan, but the product is suffering bad. Now, of course, next week or whenever he comes back, if the product looks great and everybody's raving and ranting, Hulk Hogan's going to say it's him. But just overall a terrible show. I'm going to go right into our ratings for this. Basically, if you've seen us before, we have 1 to 5 scale. 5 is the best, 1 is the worst. 1's a Jesse Goddard, 2's a Garrett Bischoff, 3's a James Storm, 4's a Christopher Daniels, 5 is a Bobby Roode. I'm going to give this show a 2, a Garrett Bischoff. Like I said, the lead up into the tag match with Roode and Kaz versus Storm and Gunner, I like that. I like the psychology, not so much the match. The part where Aries went lone wolf, I liked. Basically, that's all that saves the show for me. Everything else was pretty lackluster and substandard. The difference between it being a 1 and a 2 is just that, those two things. It could have been a lot worse. I mean, the in-ring that we were given was so bad that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, to be honest with you. Everything was just lackluster and half-assed, in my opinion. But basically, that's all I have to say about this show. My name is George Coles, and this has been another Heel Heat.